Black voters were essential to Biden's 2020 win, but those voters, along with black activists, have been drifting away from the Biden administration for months because of the White House's failures on police reform, voting rights, the economy, and the fact that COVID is still raging. While the nation's unemployment rate may be declining, the rate for black people is currently more than double the national average at 7.1%. When black voters were asked to grade Biden's first year, only 21% gave him an A, 25% gave him a B, and 23% gave him a C. The disappointment is so stark that many black Democrats say they see a bleak 2022. There's also been a lot of discontent among black activists who see a lack of engagement from an administration they helped catapult into office with their organizing. And they continue to be frustrated with the administration's idea that activists can out-organize or out-litigate the voter suppression laws coming at this point from 19 states. But how much of that blame falls on the president and how much blame should fall on the obstructionism from Republicans? Joining me now to discuss is someone with a huge amount of insight on this topic, professor, philosopher, author, and activist, Cornel West. So, Dr. West, I think you heard our interview earlier with the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre. What did you make of their response and their message to black people and their own grading of their first year in office?
Well, I want to begin, though, brother, just by saluting you and being so clear and courageous in your defense of voting rights and democracy and black people. When I juxtapose it with our lovely sister, who I enjoyed listening to and so forth, I just thought how sad I am to see these black cheerleaders who don't want to tell the truth when it comes to how fundamental voting rights actually are. And we know Biden wouldn't be there, Sister Harris wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the black vote, but he had other priorities. What does that mean? That's benign neglect, and it's a certain kind of betrayal of black people. That somehow you got other priorities rather than the group that got you in, other priorities rather than the foundation of democracy. So there's a dagger at our throat, and all you can do is engage in quietistic calculations behind the scenes in private. Then the dagger is not real. The dagger really is at our throat. That's why we want courageous action. That's why you've been writing your New York Times pieces. That's why you've been pushing this on TV from the very beginning since May, and you said this is exactly what's going to happen if we don't move. Now we have it, and folks still saying, well, we still going to fight. We're going to continue. No, you had your chance. Your timing was off. You failed. You didn't deliver for black people. You delivered for Wall Street. Their profits are at record heights. You delivered for the war profiteers. They got $768 billion, $24 more billion than Biden even asked for. But when it comes to us, when it comes to poor people, comes to working people, betrayal, neglect. You can't even fight for $15 wage. Can't fight for the student loans, fight for immigration reform. Stimulus bill, I agree. That's why I don't give him an F. I give him a D. The stimulus bill was real. But when it comes to fighting for foundations of democracy, it's all sounding brass and tinkling cymbal. Nice little speeches, no follow through. And that's not just for him, that's for Sister Harris, and it's for the black politicians, it's for the black caucus. You notice they can't say a critical word when it comes to Biden. They can't say a mumbling word when it comes to the suffering for black people vis-a-vis their loyalty to the party. If that's their job, fine. Then they need to have deeper vocations, because we got a crisis out here. And it's not a matter of them just coming up with pretty words to justify and rationalize Biden's neglect and betrayal. No, our allegiance is to our people, the suffering of our people. That's what fundamentally ought to move us. And that's what's been moving you, brother, ever since May when you took this job. Now, of course, it moved you before on the newspapers and things, but I'm talking about on this show. And that's why I do salute you in that way. And I'm not trashing that sister. I'm just saying that's her job. She's got to rationalize the neglect and betrayal over and over again. And that's true for the politicians too. Black folk in the Democratic Party. You ask them a question about Biden. Do you get a critical word? Not a mumbling word. Now, of course, you got neo-fascists like Trump. They got fire.
Right.
Neo-fascists are moving. Our neoliberals, weak as pre-sweetened Kool-Aid, they don't
Dr.
have a
West,
fire. We got
let
the
me just,
same fire the neo-fascists
let me just interrupt for one second,
against it.
Dr. West. Let me interrupt for 1 second. So I do take the White House's position that it may not have changed Manchin or Sinema's vote anyway. He could have come out earlier, pressed really hard, and they still not voted for the filibuster. I think the thing that sticks in people's craw is when it looks like you don't go down fighting. Is that the thing here?
Oh, that's exactly right. You remember I said the same thing about our dear brother Barack Obama, that he punched on second down rather than the fourth down. You push for public option, you push for single payer, and if you don't get it, then you get something else. But you don't opt for something early on, like quietistic calculation and private meetings, without pushing publicly, without so that he will never be in a situation where he has to say, I'm tired of being quiet. Hey, the game is over now, man. You know, you show up with your football and the game is over. I made a touchdown, but the game is over.
Right.
It's too late. It's
How
much
much of the blame
so
should be put on the
right.
Republicans?
Oh, a whole
How much
lot,
of the blame should be put on Republican
out of
shoulders?
the neo-fascist gangster like Trump people. We don't expect anything like them. It's like your powerful piece in the 1890s. We didn't expect anything from the KKK. We didn't expect anything from the white supremacists. That's a given. It's the moderates, Brother Martin said, that's getting in the way. But it's not just white moderates. It's black moderates too. And moderation is not an appropriate response to black suffering. It never has been. It never will be if we're going to be the best of who we are, which is a struggling people with freedom dreams and willing to live and die for our people or for the suffering to be overcome.
Cornel West, thank you for joining us tonight. As always, a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much for your time.